Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here, and welcome again to another book review. And today we're going to review, I'm excited for this, Star Wars The Old Republic Legends Omnibus Volume 1. This contains the entirety of the Knights of the Old Republic comics that were originally published by Dark Horse Comics. Now, this is a direct market version, so the dust jacket has this cover. This is the cover of the Handbook that was released also during that time, during 2007. And I love the art here. This is my favorite cover. The art is of Dustin Weaver and also the colors of Michael Atiyeh. Now, on the side, you can see the Star Wars logo and the Old Republic in #1 Marvel Omnibus. On the back, you can see a lot of the covers, not all the covers, but a lot of the covers that are included on this collection. It says right there, a long time ago. Here you can see collecting Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 to 50, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic War 1 to 5, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Handbook, and material from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Rebellion 0. Now, inside the dust jacket, you can get to see some covers here on this left side, also the introduction of the story. On the right side, you can get to see more covers at the top, and the creators, you have John Jackson Miller, Brian Ching, Bong Dazo, Andrea Mutti, and Dustin Weaver. On the cover of the book, you get this collage image with the different arts. There are two different artists here. You got Brian Ching at the top, and then you have two different panels from Andrea Mutti. This is from the War miniseries. Now, when looking at the binding, this one has a nice looking eye. It's not the biggest eye that I ever seen, but I think it's perfect. Of course, it's sewn binding. This is the combination that normally Marvel does in all the books, which I like. And this one is a heavy book. I think there's over 1,300 pages, so it's pretty large, but it does the binding does a pretty good job in maintaining all the pages together. Now, when opening the book, this is black, and here you can see Star Wars The Old Republic Legends. I just wish that they used the Knights of the Old Republic logo instead of the Old Republic. And of course, being Legends, it means that whatever was prior to the acquisition by Disney and now the comics that they're producing, they're pretty much on the timeline. This is considered non-canon. But to me, the extended universe was fantastic. I did have a video, and if you haven't watched it, I'll have the link for you, where I talk about the best comics that were produced by Dark Horse Comics, that in my opinion, were the best of the best, some of the best stories ever for Star Wars, and this is one of them. John Jackson Miller, he is the one that writes the entirety of the book. He has done a fantastic job here, and we're gonna go in detail with that. On the pencils, we got Brian Ching, Travel Foreman, Dustin Weaver, Harvey Tolibao, the late Bong Dasso, Scott Hepburn, Alan Robinson, Dean Zachary, Ron Chan, Andrea Mutti, Crystal Fate Celestial, and Collin Wilson, and many of these people also are the inkers here. On the colorist, the main colorist here is Michael Atiyeh and J. David Ramos. The letterer is Michael Heisler. He did the entirety of the run, and then of course you got more people involved in the whole process. Now, here on the table of contents, everything starts on issue number 0 on March 2006, and it goes all the way to issue number 50 on February 2010. So it's 4 years. And then on 2012, we got the 5-issue miniseries, the War, from 1 to 5. And then we have the Knights of the Old Republic Handbook, which actually was published in November 2007. Now, here you have this introduction, classic Star Wars introduction, The Old Republic Volume 1. Of course, this is now The Old Republic because it's been rebranded by Marvel, by Disney. And I still think that the Knights of the Old Republic sounded better, even though this is kind of goes in continuity or works alongside with the Knights of the Old Republic video game. It's a totally different story. Here is this cover. This is what is used for the regular version, not for the direct market. This is Brian Ching, and he's fantastic. Now, if you're familiar with John Jackson Miller, he started doing, he was an editor for different fanzines and different publications. The Comics Buyer's Guide, he was the editor there. So he was doing some of those things until he started writing comics, and in this case with Dark Horse. And this, I love these covers. These covers are done by Travis Charest. Now, if you're not familiar with Travis, he's a fantastic cover artist. He has done some stuff, interior art, with different companies in Europe. For example, in France, he did some work. He's from Canada, but he's self-taught, and he's fantastic. He's a phenomenal artist. Miller did just such a fantastic job writing the stories. As a writer, he was very good and really bringing the nature of Star Wars into this comics. I feel that when you look at the stories here, and the artists are diverse, there's so many artists here, like Brian Ching is the one that does a big part of the book, and I think one of the reasons why people fell in love with that too is because one thing I could tell you about Brian Ching is that the way he does facial expressions, He is very good at them. He has an art, of course, he does his own inking, which sometimes feels kind of rough. But at the same time, the way he does those expressions, the facial expressions, you can see the emotions on the characters. And I think that's what makes Brian Ching an interesting, I wouldn't say my favorite, but very interesting artist that understands the storytelling. What happened is this: Saint Carre, who is the main character here, he is a Padawan. He gets framed for a murder. He's framed by his own Jedi master. He wants to become a Jedi. Of course, he goes to the Jedi Academy. Another great cover here, as you can see from Charest. So in that process of he wanting to be a Jedi, he's not the best. He has this relationship with the Force, which is kind of like iffy. Like, some people would say that it's bad luck, but at the same time it's good luck, because no matter how you throw him, he always, lands on his feet. And that really gives the story so much opportunity for you to create some adventures, because this is more than just I would say a Jedi story. It's definitely a renegade story. This is the story of somebody that is on the run, and because he's trying to solve this mystery, who was the killer, although we know from the beginning who is the killer. The killers in this case are these Jedis that they kill their own Padawans. But in the story, you need to find out why they did it. What is the reason? What is the motivation behind it? And also, he needs to clear his name. So he gets in the run with this cast of misfits, different characters, particularly Griff. Griff is such a con artist. That's what he is. He is a person that is definitely on the dark, and I want to say the dark side, but he is always looking for the next deal where he can make some money. So he is, I wouldn't call it like a criminal. He's just a low-level criminal. He's just trying to, make a living by doing what he does and trying to prove himself to be the best criminal or a criminal mastermind. And of course, in this beginning of the story, and the Saint is going after him because he wants to prove himself by catching him, because of course he's on the run. And in the whole process of the, in this case of the killing of his friends, these Padawans, of course they get blamed, both of them together, as part of this conspiracy. So they have to run together. Griff is really, really funny. He calls Saint a henchman. He starts as an apprentice, then he becomes a henchman, and then of course they become partners in crime, supposedly. But it's just the adventures. And I will tell you one thing, this is the part where Miller really shines as a writer, because he's constantly giving them a lot of personality. They have personality. These characters are not just plain boring characters. They can be dubious at times, but at the same time, particularly with Griff, for example, he may sometimes you can think that he's slick or he's slimy in the way he does things, but he has a good heart. And this is part of the cover that you see on the book. I like that one. And the story goes so fast. This is the best part of the story. There's stories that you can read that sometimes they can be, there's a lot of boredom. That like you get bored reading, and it's just a hassle just trying to go through the book. This is the type of book, even though it has a lot of pages, it's gonna be really fast because it's so entertaining. Every issue has like a cliffhanger to the next one. And this is another great part about this collection. And even though there is different mini-series or mini-story sagas in between in all the stories, every story saga is pushing to the next part of the next part of the next part, because ultimately it's about solving the case, the reason why they got framed, who is behind the whole thing, and clearing his name. Now, early in the story, while they were trying to escape, they befriend two Arcanians, Jariel and also Camper. Camper is an older man, an old gentleman. And this older man is losing his memory, and Jariel technically is the bodyguard. She is the protector. She cares for Camper. Camper really saved her when she was very young. And this is another thing that I like about the story, that you really don't know much about the backstory of the characters at the beginning. I love when stories do that, because you really don't know what to expect. You don't know who is on the good side, who is on the bad side. Everyone has secrets to a certain extent. Now, this is Lucian. This is the master, the teacher of Saint Carre. He's the one going after him, chasing Saint, and he's part of this covenant, secret covenant between some Jedis, the ones that actually did the killing. Now, you're familiar with the Star Wars comics from the Dark Horse era. You know that this happened in the aftermath of the Tales of the Jedi, and this is at the beginning of the Mandalorian Wars. So, this is the thing where, so many situations are happening, but the good thing about the way Miller is doing this is that even though there's a lot of events happening at the time, he keeps everything centered into the main characters. And this is the introduction in the art of Dustin Weaver. I love the way he's doing his expressions. I love the way he does the faces. I love the way he does the inking and the detail. Love this panel, one of my favorites here. You can see Roland and all the Mandalorians. This is the thing, there's so many adventures happening here that it's just one thing after the other. Every storyline takes you to the other. Every saga, every little event that is happening is really bringing characters that are becoming important for the development of the story. So Roland definitely becomes an important aspect of that. Really love the character there. This is a Brian Ching cover. And here you can see Mandalore. So this is, again, part of the Mandalorian Wars. So everything happened while the Mandalorian Wars are happening. The Jedi are there fighting the Mandalorians. So the universe, the galaxy, is a tumultuous place. There's a lot of stuff happening, which adds more to that intrigue and to the situations that you're involved in. Of course, the Republic is very young. Now, this is a character that you need to pay attention to. And the story is gonna develop, and this is, I'm gonna give you a spoiler here, this is Malik, which is Darth Malik in the video game. So this is at the beginning of the story when he's a good Jedi, when he's trying to do the right thing, all of that, and there's the connection, the friendship that he has with Jariel and all of that develops throughout the story. Now, Brian Ching has been in comics for a very long time. He started at Top Cow back in the 90s. He was doing some stuff for Wildstorm. He also did some stuff for Mattel as a character designer. And then he went and started working with Dark Horse Comics. He's been working on Dark Horse for almost 20 years now. He's been working on Dark Horse for a long time. But in between, he's been doing stuff for DC, for Marvel, and other publishers. So Brian Ching is not a new person. And I think his art, and many people would say that initially at the beginning, he was just a copycat of Jim Lee. I don't think so. I think Brian had his own style. He's a fantastic cover artist. He's fantastic in doing design. And the way he does a lot of this panel layouts, the way he does the modern panel layouts, I think he's really good with the storytelling. And he was fantastic. I think that's what kept me coming to this comic book when it came out. I think it was Brian and Weaver. Those two, I think they were the main artists that really kept me going and so intrigued and interested because the way they were doing it. Now, these are the Mumu brothers, the Mumu twins. And I really like these characters. They're like always fighting. And the cover is Hoon. I really don't know this cover artist, but he did a lot of covers for Dark Horse Comics during that time. He still does, if I'm not mistaken. And here you can see the art. In this case is Brian Ching again. And I love Brian Ching because also another thing that he does is that he adds a lot of detail. He's very good at adding detail. When they're trying to escape, they're trying to solve all sort of things. They're trying to help other people at the same time. And they just running some scams. They're doing all sort of things in order to survive. And I think that's where the whole story develops. And you can see Sane acting and really trying to help people out. That's pretty much the character and the heart of Sane. He is a good kid. Even though he is on the run, even though he could just choose to go the wrong way, he always tries to do the right thing. Now, this is where Harvey Tolibao takes over for a time. And Harvey is a fantastic artist too. This is a Filipino artist that is really popular, and he's been known, and has done a lot of work over the years for pretty much almost every publisher. But one thing that Tolibao does really, really good is the way he does facial expressions as well, and the way he is able to do storytelling from panel to panel. Like the way you can see here, this Mumu brother, love the way his expression. He goes from like disbelief to being funny and kind of considering, and all of that, you can see that. So the way he does these panels, he is very organized with it and is very clean with it. And this is classic 9-panel layout. And now we have Dustin Weaver. This is Brian Ching's cover. And Dustin, like I was telling you, as the story progresses, he's becoming better and better. And even you can see like Jariel looks a lot better. Like she's more defined. Her features are more defined. And I think it's because at that moment we were just really, really comfortable. And Weaver is another great artist that also has done a lot of stuff over the years, but now he's doing a lot of writing. He's also a writer, a creator. He's been doing that a lot. And he's also fantastic at doing so. But he is, in my opinion, a fantastic artist that deserves more attention. I love the way he does things, and definitely his art really was, it was perfect here, in my opinion. He was really good, and I love the female characters that he draws. They're really good. This is LB. He's a droid, and he's also a companion, and he is a very, very smart droid. And he's very quiet, but he listens, all the time to what Sane likes to talk to him, and they spend a lot of time talking. but he's always like, he's with Roland. It's in this story, it's important where Roland becomes really attached to Jeriel and also to Camper, and he is there in the story. So I will tell you, there are a lot of things in this story here that are so funny. There are a lot of these moments. For example, here when Griff decides to run a kitchen, and even though the planet's almost being out to the point of destruction, he's still selling food to the last minute because he wants the money. He's hungry for the money. That's a very funny story right there. But the whole event happened, and of course, you know, Sane, he's also, because of his powers and his in this case connection with the Force, he has dreams and visions, and all of that is coming into play. I love how she looks right here. Tolibao did a fantastic job with her. She looks very sexy right there, very hot. Now this is the story with Laura Daska, and Laura Daska is just a slimy guy. He just, for the money, it's all he cares about, and it's all he cares is about power. So this is a very interesting story. Tolibao really doing fantastic work here. Love the way he's designing, in this case, Jeriel. She looks really good there, but there's a lot of detail that he's adding to the characters, and he does this run, and I love the way he does the panel. There's a lot of different detail. He's really good at the detail. And this is another cover, really good. This is Chris Warner, and he was doing a lot of the covers at that point. And now this is Bong Dasso, the late Bong Dasso. And Bong Dasso, if you look at the stuff he was doing amazing work. Unfortunately, Bong Dasso passed away back in 2018, but he's a legend in the Philippines, also fantastic artist. That he has more of like a cartoony style. There's a lot of influence from anime in his work. But one thing Bong Dasso did is the way he did different angles. I think angles were good. Like, for example, this. He's good at those different angles and the detail. I love how sharp his pencils are. This is a perfect Star Wars story because even friends become, you know, allies become enemies and enemies become allies at some point throughout the story. And he's making situations where the evil guy is not totally evil. You know, there's reasons why they're doing what they're doing. And of course, as you read the story, you'll know for sure why is that they, what is the motivation. But the thing is this, it's not just a story where everything is already set in stone and the bad guy is just a bad guy because he was born being a bad guy. I think it gives you reasons and people can connect with the human side and sometimes the motivation and the reason why they do what they do. Now this is Weaver, and I'm telling you, Weaver was getting really good at this point. This is the part where I tell you Weaver was doing good, and not only that, he was doing covers, and we're gonna see some of the covers in a moment, and those covers were fantastic. But the way Weaver was managing this story, in my opinion, was even surpassing what Ching was doing. And I'm telling you, it was really good. The stories, the way he does details, battles, you know, the ships, all the stuff, the weapons, you know, you can see really a great attention to detail. Now, here we have Scott Hepburn. And Scott Hepburn, I love this. I love his design. And Scott Hepburn has done a lot of stuff, even for manga or stuff, even for Udon. And Scott is really good at that. So you can see in his style, it's kind of like a very anime style, like a manga style in it. And it's good, you know, not everyone will love it, but I think it works well. Now, this is part of Vector. This is a crossover that happened, that was written by Miller and also by John Strander, and includes Knights of the Old Republic, Dark Times, Rebellion, and Legacy. This is the only thing that I will say that I criticize about the book, that there's no introduction to this. I wish they would have given us some type of overview at the beginning and at the end, something that Marvel does when they do those type of things, when they're crossovers, crossover events or situations that are coming from other comics into the storyline. So that way you have an idea, but it's not included here. That's the one thing that I will criticize about the book. I love this cover. This is a really nice cover by Dustin Weaver, really nice. And I'm telling you, Dustin Weaver does fantastic covers. He's a writer, he's a cover artist, he's a penciler, and you know, whatever he does, he's really good at those things. Now this is another Weaver cover, and this is another fantastic cover. Really love this one too. And we are back with Bong Dasso. Bong Dasso, man, I'm telling you, he was really good. Look at the detail, the musculature of this guy. This is the thing, what I like about Bong Dasso is how exquisite he was with the details. Some people may not like his art. They might have found it cartoony. I love the way she's done here. Bong Dasso also knows how to do women, that's for sure. He was good. He was good at doing those things. And definitely, he is truly missed because, you know, he did a lot of good stuff. He did a lot of stuff with Dark Horse Comics and fantastic stuff. And, you know, I will tell you one thing. Sometimes we appreciate the artists more and more as time passes by. When they're no longer with us, it's when we start appreciating more of their art. And this is another favorite of mine. This panel, this whole splash is a really, really nice. I love it. And this is a great cover by Weaver. Fantastic cover. Here you have Brian Ching, and Alan Robinson is the one doing the art here. I will tell you that this is not necessarily my favorite. Alan also has done a lot of art for a lot of publishers. All these artists here have worked with multiple companies over the years. You know, yeah, some of them to a lesser extent than others. And here is the person that is the mastermind behind the whole thing. You will know this is a fantastic cover. I'm telling you, fantastic cover by Brian Ching. And Bong Dasso does this. Bong Dasso also does really good here too. Love this one. Again, Bong Dasso was phenomenal when he was doing the splash pages. And here we have Brian Ching. This can actually be used as the script for a movie because it is like that. It feels like a Hollywood movie. It is really well done. It's clever, and I think I like that. Like you can see with Bong Dasso, again, the way he does all this detail, you know, it's unique. His style is unique, but it really works so great. And this is in the aftermath, after he kind of clears his name and all that in the process of the story. He's not necessarily a Jedi in the whole expression of the word. He's still on the run. He's still doing things his way. He's trying to help people, and he's trying to do the right thing. So he's very different than your average Jedi. He still has a lightsaber, which is interesting. He still has this connection with the Force, but he's not limited. He's not controlled by the politics of the Jedi Council. Now, I love this one right here. I love the way he's just, all the detail. This is a phenomenal panel. Now, this is Dean Zachary, and Dean Zachary does a lot of this kind of inks where they're kind of very dark and murky at times. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the way he did it. This is actually a dark story, so kind of very dark when you go through it, but I think he kind of worked, the art of the Zachary really worked really good on the way of the story that we're trying to portray here. Now, here we have Brian Ching again, and this is the thing. I will say that the good thing about what Dark Horse was doing there is that they were rotating the artists, and the artists were coming back. Of course, they were doing other stuff with Dark Horse, but also with other publishers, but they were coming back, and every time they came back, I felt that they were doing better. So as the time progresses with the story, I felt that the artists were more comfortable. The storytelling was better. The panels sometimes were bigger, but they have so much detail. And the story was, in my opinion, was good. Like you can see right here, Jariel looking really good here. She was always, you know, fun. And this is the other thing that I will tell you, that I'm not necessarily a fan of the way Marvel has been handling these characters, because they haven't allowed these characters to continue on. There have been talks and conversations about bringing them, you know, using them for, you know, in this case, for more comics. Even there were talks about expanding on the characters into the movies at some point, but because the way it's been received, the most recent movies, they haven't been able to do anything. But I would love to see this, even if it's through Disney Plus. I would love to see these characters be expanded. And I'm telling you, Chantique right here, Chantique is a foe of Jariel, a person from her past. She looks really hot here. I'm telling you, she looks super hot. She is a killer for sure. But you know, the talks have been there just to expand the characters, but we haven't seen that. And I feel that the opportunity is there because these characters are so beloved. Jariel is so beloved, and I would love to see more of the characters and expansion of their lives and their legacy and all that. But here you can see Malak. He really cares for Jariel, and this is another thing. There's a kind of like, I would say a love triangle, but this is the relationship that happens between Jariel and Sane, and how this is going to unfold, or how this pretty much brings them together. And I think this is something that this story didn't get the chance to explore fully, and even on the War miniseries, you didn't get the chance to explore it. So I feel that the opportunity to really explore on those characters, I think the opportunity is there to create more comic stories and comic series and all of that. This is a phenomenal book, I'm telling you. Even though it's large in the page count, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal book that you will enjoy from the beginning to end. It's just, the art is good. You know, there's different art. Some you may be, you know, favor one over the other. It's up to you. It depends on what is it that your consideration of art, what is it the style you like the most. But to be honest, in the end, the way the artists are bringing the stuff together, the way Miller does the story, and how everything really forms this entire storyline, the entire adventure, I think is really well done. I think what Miller really managed to do well is to really give the reader a sense of what Star Wars is. It's all about the adventure. It's all about doing the right thing. It's about the morals on the story. And I feel that in that they managed to do it really, really good. Brian Ching, I'm telling you, by the end of the book, he is just really phenomenal. The way he's doing things is just fantastic. And the details that he adds, the way he does everything, and of course the colors are amazing. I love the way he's doing these expressions. At this point, Brian Ching is just at the top of his game on this one. Looks really, really good. And I will tell you, Brian Ching, over the years, of course, people have always questioned his ability. Some people say, again, he was a copycat. But those who have said that is because they don't know Brian Ching. They don't know what he has done over the years and his talent, how talented he is, and the way he has done certain things. This is proof of his talent and the way he does things. And I really love that. Now, Roland looks good too there. Another aspect here is like the Mandalorians are not just one single race. The Mandalorians pretty much are a combination of multiple races. So it goes back to the creed of the Mandalorian, something that we were seeing recently with the Mandalorian show, which is an expansion of that. People act like, people, they say they're surprised about the way they're doing that. It's because they haven't read the comics. Pretty much that idea was already a preset that was presented from time ago here in the Knights of the Old Republic. And that's when you explore that idea, and in the novels where the Mandalorians were not only just a race but also a creed. So all those things are included here in the story, and you will see that. This is the thing, what I'm telling you here, that this is, I think, is a missed opportunity for Disney, for Marvel, not to include the stories into their own continuity or to accept it as part of the continuity, because there's a lot here that really makes sense and really plays so well. And they have used sometimes the hints, because even in some of the shows like Rebels, for example, they have used some of the hints of the stories, of the stuff that were actually showcased here in all Knights of the Old Republic video game as well. So to me, it's like, it works. If you don't want to use it, that's up to you. I think that's just a bad decision. Look at this one. She looks great right there. Looks super hot right there. Definitely fantastic the way they did it there. But look at this one. Really cool. Now, this is a cover by Benjamin Carre, the cover artist and artist from France. And he's really good. But here, of course, is Brian Ching doing the art. I'm telling you, I love it because Brian Ching started the book and he's the one concluding the book. And the way he did it was phenomenal, in my opinion. And the way they kind of ended left it kind of open for a lot of things, which didn't happen back in 2010. And of course, there's a kiss right there. As you can see, the relationship is blossoming, is growing. But then This Is War, the miniseries that came in 2012. To be honest with you, I read it. I'm not a big fan of it in the sense that, it's good, it's a continuation, which I'm glad, but it doesn't include the characters that we saw initially. They just come in little parts on cameos. But this is technically just saying that he is conscripted to go into the war to fight, to fight with the Republic against the Mandalorians in the Mandalorian Wars. Now, Andrea Mutti is an Italian artist. He is the one that does the entirety of this miniseries. I will tell you, he's good. He's done a lot of stuff in Europe. I wouldn't say that I'm blown away by his art. It's not my favorite. He's not a bad artist. He does really good stuff, and he's very clean, and definitely he has detail. He's a good storyteller. I can see on the way he does the panel layout. Definitely he does really good, and definitely there is some charisma and definitely some energy in his art, but he is not, I would say, I was not expecting him. I was expecting perhaps Brian Ching or any of the old artists to make a comeback and really continue the story and expand the story, because this one, even though it's there, it doesn't really expand on anything on the story. It's just an adventure, in this case, saying stuck in this war and trying to do the right thing, but it doesn't expand on the characters. And of course, since then, the whole Star Wars took over, by Disney, and of course, Dark Horse lost the rights to produce this comic, so it's technically on limbo. And this is, of course, now part of the Legends. But to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like, in this case, the character has evolved a little bit. It just feels like he kind of got stuck into the way and the mindset of a young Padawan instead of just acting like a Jedi. So that will be my criticism here about the story. Beyond that, I was glad that it was, another mini-series. Now, here we have the Handbook, and this is the cover that is used for the direct market version. And of course, you can see pretty much it gives you a biography of every character. Same character here. You have the Griff, slick. You also have Jariel, love the art here. You also got Roland Dyer. You have Camper. You got Elby. You got Krenda Dre, the mother Lucian Dre, Hassan. You got Canilla, the friend of Lucian. And of course, these are part of this covenant, the Knights of the Covenant. I love this one here. You got the Last Resort, which is the ship that Camper and Jariel are commanding. And I love the detail that is added there. You can see all the ins and outs of the ship. And here you have the Mumu Willy Wall, which is the Mumu brothers. I love the detail. Love the way it's portrayed there. And then, of course, you got the Courageous, you got their Kenyan Legacy, all these ships. Now, this is Alex Quint, who is going to become, at some point, Darth Malak. Not in the comic book, but if you're familiar with the video game, you know. The Revanchist, who is no other than Darth Raven. And here you have, of course, the Admiral Sol Karath. It's a part of the story. And then you got other people there involved. Demagol, who is also very important, an important villain in the story. You got Mandalore and Cassius Fett. Those are important Mandalorians, Laura Daska, and then of course the Mumu brothers right there. So, and here you can see all the planets are in part of the story, and here you have the Undercity of Charest, and here you have more covers. Now, one thing not a fan of the way they did it here, and of course, I understand why they're not doing it, is that the covers are included. These are some other covers, but the covers that you see in the story do not have the original logos. I would have loved to see the original Dark Horse Comics logo, because just for historical purposes. Of course, they're not gonna do it because they just don't want to promote a competitor. But that, to me, that's the only thing that I don't like about the story. I like when the covers like this, for example, you can get to see this. What they did here is that they removed the Dark Horse Comics from here, from this, and they just left everything else. At least we get to see something like that. But this is really cool. Then you have some more information about Vector. And of course, there's not really that many extras, but what it is there, I think is important. I love this comic book story. I love this omnibus. When it was announced, I was so glad that it was announced. I pre-ordered it. I got it as soon as he came out. I haven't had the chance to review it until now. But to be honest with you, it's a fantastic storyline. It's a fantastic book. If you can find, of course, the direct market cover, find it. If you cannot, don't miss just because of that. Just get the regular one, because ultimately, in the end, it's about the story. It's about, really knowing this and really having fun with these books. And I have fun with it. It's a fantastic story, one of the best. But what is your opinion, my friends? What do you think about this book? Are you a fan of the art? You're not a fan? Have you read it? Are you waiting to read it? What do you think about the status of these characters now that pretty much are on hold? And Marvel or Disney are not doing anything with them. Would you like to see a movie? Would you like to see video games? I know there's another video game or things, a revision or a remaster of the old one coming. Would you like to see more comics? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button so you're reminded of the next video. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links are down below. And please consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless you. Take care. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.